This chapter is called Constrictiion. Is he still there? Luther asked. Yeah. Is he looking at me? It was hard for Marty to tell in the dimly lit underground exhibit, but one thing was clear. Butch McCall was not watching the snake swallowing the rabbit. He was staring in the general direction of Luther's nicked head like a snake himself, getting ready to strike. I think so, Marty said. Is he alone? There are so many people jammed in there, I can't tell. Should I go left or right? Luther asked. There were two ways in and out of the exhibit, and Luther and Butch were standing about dead center between them. Go to your right, Marty said. I'll try to distract him. When you get out, you need to avoid the surveillance cameras and find a place to hide out. Where are you hiding? In a toilet stall? You're kidding. You need to go, Marty said. Ready? I guess. Luther put his phone into his pocket and moved his head and shoulders like he was loosening them up. Marty dove the dragon spy into Butch's left ear. Butch turned and swatted at it. People yelled at Luther as Luther pushed his way through the crowd. Butch dove for him and missed, but the burly security guard waiting outside the exhibit didn't. By the time Marty got the dragon spy past the angry zoo visitors and outside, Luther was being half dragged, half trotted down the path between Butch and the guard. He thought about trying another dive bomb attack, but worried it wouldn't have worked. And then in the light, Butch might figure out that the annoying bug was actually a high-tech bot. Luther was yelling his head off about civil liberties, lawsuits, mistaken identity, kidnapping, assault, and rich, powerful parents. Butch and the guard ignored him. The handful of zoo visitors weren't paying much attention to him either. It looked like security was escorting a crazy boy out of the zoo, which is completely unbelievable, Marty thought. Luther doesn't look like Luther. Maybe Butch had been sent to the Anaconda exhibit to check out a potential crazy. Maybe I made a mistake in having him run. Does Butch recognize him now that he has him in hand? They stopped in the middle of the path. Butch said something to the guard, which the dragon spy was too far away to pick up. So Marty flew closer. You're sure? Security guard said. Yeah, I got this, Butch said, holding on to Luther's arm. Shove off. Don't, Luther yelled. He's going to kill me. Not likely, Butch said. But I am going to call your mother and tell her you're back at the Ark causing trouble again. She might kill you. Butch gave the guard his best smile, which looked more like a grimace. His mom's a big donor. Dr. Blackwood asked me to come up and take care of this personally and quietly, if you know what I mean. What he means is he's going to murder me, Luther shouted. The security guard laughed and walked away. You got a big mouth, Butch said. You ain't seen nothing yet. Where's your friend Marty? Who? That's what I thought you'd say. Butch reached into his pocket with his free hand. Don't worry, we'll find him, Luther. My name's not Luther. Butch plunged something into Luther's arm. Ouch! Good night, Luther Smith. Huh? You're As Marty watched the gizmo scream helpless, Luther's eyes rolled up in his head. Butch caught him as he slumped to the ground, threw him over his shoulder like a sack of grain, and started walking down the path. Marty slammed open the stall door, ready to run south to the South America and save his friend, but he only took a couple of steps before stopping. By the time I get down there, Butch will be gone. If I start running through the Ark like a maniac, the cameras will pick me up, and I'll be captured too. What good will that do? He looked again at the video stream. Butch had stopped in the middle of the path between South America and Antarctica, with Luther still slung over his shoulder like a corpse. Butch glanced up and down the path, then reached into his pocket and pulled out what looked like a credit card. What's he doing? Marty zoomed the dragon spy camera in for a closer look. Butch slid the car into a slot concealed in the low metal rail running along the path. A second later, the earth opened up and an elevator rose silently out of the ground. Butch opened the door and stepped inside with Luther. The door slid closed and the elevator disappeared back into the ground as if it had never been there. Marty cursed. He was so stunned to see the elevator appear out of nowhere that he didn't even think about flying the Dragon Spy inside with them. He checked Luther's tracking tag. It dropped 60 feet, then stopped. The tag started to move to the west quickly. Marty stared down at the gizmo screen. 10 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour. Butch sure isn't sprinting with Luther over his shoulder. No one's that fast. There's some kind of vehicle. The blinking icon came to a stop a quarter mile away. Marty watched for a full 5 minutes. It didn't move. Now, Dylan was in North America in the front of the mountain lion exhibit when Marty called. What's happening? We have a problem, Marty answered. Don't tell me Luther is hungry again. Luther's been kidnapped. Dylan wasn't sure he heard him correctly, but there weren't too many words that sounded like kidnapped. In fact, there were none that he could think of at all. By who? He asked. Butch McCall. He recognized him? I guess. Dylan found that hard to believe. The Luther he had gone into his bedroom looked nothing like the Luther that had come out. How long ago? 5 minutes. Dylan had dropped off the 2 hot dogs not 10 minutes earlier. Where? South America. Where are you hiding? Hiding in a restroom between Africa and South America. Butch saw you too? No, but there are cameras everywhere. I watched Butch grab Luther with the Dragon Spy before he took him underground. He asked him where I was. Underground? Dylan listened as Marty explained what he had seen. He had wondered where all the holding areas, service roads, and zookeepers were. We should call the police, Dylan said. Marty laughed. What a joke. They aren't going to take our word over Noah Blackwood's. We'd just be tipping our hand. He'll move Grace out of here. Who knows what he'll do to Luther? He's certainly not going to let him blab about being kidnapped. Wolf? Dylan asked. He's on his way to D.C. We should call Ted then. I already tried. His tag doesn't even show up on the gizmo. What do you want to do? Dylan asked. But he already knew the answer.